it honestly brings me back full circle to even why I wanted to do this podcast, was to be able to showcase, cool shit in construction.
Yeah, it's a great career. You're not out digging ditches all day.
No.
You could be if you want. Do your own podcast.
Do your own podcast, DIY. Live from the Grizzly Den.
Ooh, no, from the... Yeah.
So everybody, for everybody listening, Cam Roy joined here with Jeff Knobloch, and we have started a podcast called The Construction Dirt. And Construction Dirt is, we'll get serious for a sec here because I do want to explain what it's about, I guess.
This is all serious.
I think my big dream for this was to create it so that there is a avenue out there for field level people to be able to listen to something podcast construction related. There's quite a platform out there, LinkedIn, and like James Faulkner's the Site Visit podcast, a little more higher level aspect than some of the carpenters, electricians, plumbers, site supers, first aid guys that just want to hear what's kind of going on in construction. So that's kind of why we started this.
Yep.
Jeff has been on board for it for a while now. You're excited?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can we tell that story about your first podcast though? When we went to the site visit with James.
I don't know. I thought it was great, and
we're part of it. So jacked up after.
Oh yes.
You were talking about this.
It was all his environment he had, and the table, and the mics, and
just such a time.
Yeah. What about going into it?
Yeah. No, it was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
So kind of a little bit of a format. We're gonna interview people kind of from the field. People that have potentially a bit of a relationship with an office level, like a project manager, something like that, as well as a field level person, and kind of see that difference of how that works between, how they kind of discussions they have with the office person versus how the field goes, and get some differentiation between that. And then, just some cool people out there in the industry that are doing some fun things. So crane operators. We're going to have some equipment operators, some high-rise guys, some things like that. So we're really looking forward to kind of just getting the ins and outs of what people are seeing. And, and I think just the love of the construction industry and people that just love what they do to be able to talk about it. Right?
Even in our construction world, there's so many unique things we're doing on sites based on site conditions, challenges, or just... going out there and trying new things, and it's great to share those ideas or things or what's happening out there in the world. And
and I feel in all honesty, you look at the Russell Hickson Site News, or you look at the business in Vancouver,
right,
that you were just browsing through, and it's always very high level stuff, and I always feel like there's so many cool things that other people are doing that don't get talked about or discussed or even brought to the forefront. The tunnel boring, I've always found the infrastructure projects like the Broadway subway tunnel, they've been doing a really good job at bringing people into seeing the tunnel boring machine coming through.
I think a lot of that
so
when they're doing the Canada line, a lot of people had no idea that there was boring going on underneath
all the way
streets.
Down Cambie.
It's done, and people are like, oh, this is neat. How did they get it underground?
Yeah. So I think I think it'd be cool to get somebody who's heavily involved in that, get
totally.
that TVM driver guy that sits in the little front seat of the caboose of the boring machine. And then the other thing we're looking at kind of putting in some segments, I think, as well, that we're talking about. So get them up bi-weekly and then kind of have that, what happened in the last couple of weeks, kind of a big story or a news thing. And then also we're talking about a down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. And segment. I guess, keep that in construction world or general, or we're not sure yet, I guess.
I don't know. Frankly, I don't really care. But
no, I guess that's what the point of the rabbit hole is. You just go and see where it goes.
Mine are usually, mostly construction related, but
they can evolve into other things.
Yeah, they could ramble a little bit, right?
I found a lot of things in the world all circle back to construction.
Honestly, it's so intertwined with everyone and everything, right? You talk about somebody that you might meet randomly at a party that wants to develop a project that then got into construction, and then you meet somebody at construction, and all of a sudden they're actually playing in this band that you wanted to go see and stuff like that, right? So,
also, that place where you went to that gathering or function was built by a contractor at some point,
right?
So if you really want to go down that,
it all ties into construction. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. No, definitely.
So Cam, what is your background in construction?
So Cam, I'm a carpenter, ticketed carpenter by trade. Came out of high school, did a little bit of post-secondary for about a half a semester, and then took a carpentry apprenticeship, and then started working for large GC self-performing for about 9 years.
Yep.
And then took a year off, and then ended up coming over to Ram Construction.
Cool. When was your first, like, how old were you when you first got exposed to construction? Like,
so as a younger fellow, I was always a bigger dude. And so, way back in the day when I would say like 13, 14 years old, like neighbor would be like, hey, can you help me plant some sod on my lawn? Hey, can you help me fix my fence?
Yep.
So I think like all along I was always kind of doing stuff. My parents were always like doing things around the house. And so it was like, oh, dad's ripping out those like landscape ties this weekend and putting new ones in, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
always kind of saw that. And then I was always just really excited about like working with my hands and doing good stuff and having fun like that and being outside. And yeah, it was always a good time.
Yep.
So
nice.
it was a natural transition for me.
Yeah.
And yourself, Mr. Jeff, tell me about your
So
construction story.
exposed to construction at a very young age. Father started a construction company when I was 4 years old. So as a little young guy, I'll say, running around sand piles and
Yeah.
being exposed to construction. And then as I got into my teenage years, started working on the sites in the summer and then realized that wasn't my jam. So went to school, took some general studies, and then, did the architectural technology program and got the construction schooling that way, I suppose, and then moved into the office and did the office roles of construction ever since, I guess, last 25 years, somewhere in there. So different love of construction, didn't like the physical aspect of it. I was a tall, skinny kid, and it was very awkward and difficult for me for some of those things. And I'm not saying that tall people can't be in construction. I just realized it wasn't going to be good for me. But yeah, just that love of taking something and making it better, or taking a bare piece of land and putting something there.
Somebody asked me about you and like your kind of story and construction, stuff like that. I always make sure that I say that you were on a job site for like at least about 10 minutes.
Right?
Yeah. He was a laborer for about 11, 12 minutes one afternoon. And then,
I mean, it is cool. We obviously still work with, my original supervisor that, I think I took it a little easy on me because I was the, SOB or son of boss, but I don't know if I would really have made it in the construction world without that.
There you go.
Without that support there. So
that's fun. That's fun. What do you love about the industry in general? What is your kind of now? So I would say like now, like I think both of us have now gotten to a point where we're somewhat established in where we are and how things go. So what would you say is your like biggest kind of love for, what you do and what the industry brings?
I mean, it's honestly the collaboration of the amount of people to do a project and coordinating that, organizing it, executing it. Now there's headaches and challenges all along the way, but the guys in the site and the guys in the office and the big decision makers in the ivory tower downtown, like all of those are a small part of putting the whole pieces in the process together. And then for me, it's getting those milestones. So I loved when I was estimating the competition and putting the tender together, getting the price, do we have the job, and the negotiation part, and then seeing that become a job, and then seeing that job finished, and then like, wow, from start to finish, we were involved in that project. It used to just be the drawings or lines on a drawing, and now there's this monster building standing here. And then a little more specific in the tilt world, those projects when you're building for months and months and months, and then you get those 4 days or 3 days where you lift the walls and everyone's just like, wow, this is what you guys been doing out here for the last couple. So kind of showing that stuff off a little bit, not like as an ego driven thing, but just, this is cool stuff. This is what people can do. So
it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that collaboration piece is huge. And I think for me also, I think it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. And it's like getting those people that getting those people that really love what they do in a room and, working through some design issues or, a thing, or just like conceptualization stuff.
Yep.
And, what can we do? How can we make this work? Wouldn't this be cool if we did this? Right.
Yep.
So, the collaboration piece is fun.
So even on a monster building, you're spending $20 million, whatever it is, but there's this one, every little trade. So the guy that puts the tilt panel caulk in between it is a very critical, important part of that whole process. And it's, a smaller scope on the large scale of, millions of dollars or thousands of dollars on these trade scopes. And you have one little small component that is kind of like that small little piece that you need.
It all makes up the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's cool.
So because this is our first podcast, I could probably ask a question. Did you hit record before we started?
I did hit record. I'm almost thinking that we should like stop it and then play it back to see if it actually worked.
Oh God, then we're going to lose our momentum.
Or do you want to just keep rolling and see what happens?
Let's just keep going.
Let's just keep sending it. That's fine. Okay, what was the next we were going to have? We're going to talk, I think rabbit hole, I think we're going to go right there. If you
go right there? Okay.
Yeah, if you wanted to get into that, or is there anything else that you want? So, I mean, we chatted about this on the weekend where I ended up down this like steam-powered downtown Vancouver thing. So. You did not fall asleep.
Yeah, well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because that's something I did not know.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
I don't want to take away from the story. But,
no, it's fine. It was very interesting.
Yeah, no, always as a kid, I mean.
Very interesting.
Yeah, well, the two tie-ins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what'd you find out about?
Yeah, I mean, there's a company that's what they do is like create steam to through district energy for buildings in various locations, not just downtown Vancouver. For like, buddy, it's been like 60 years, 70 years. Yeah. And the steam clock in Gastown was originally powered and, run off of the steam. Now it just blows the steam up and it's powered electrically. But there's a massive network underneath. Okay, so now it's back on. So Cam's rabbit hole, the steam thing. I mean, they're building a new building is what I was kind of going to wrap that up with. Creative Energy is building a new building right beside BC Place. And really cool looking building. I think it's in partnership with West Bank. The whole basement is going to be a massive energy steam generator.
So is it to upgrade and maintain the existing system, or is this to add more steam?
Add more capability. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I think there's, I don't know exactly, but I do know when we did a project up Burnaby Mountain and Corex Biomass Facility ended up putting in some DES energy stuff, and they were actually preparing for that facility years before that facility actually even got built. So like the towers that they were putting up already had the infrastructure for the piping in the ground. So I don't know if that maybe has happened throughout the years downtown Vancouver. So there's like everybody's got little ports at the bottom of their building ready for it. And then a massive BC Hydro upgrade for that energy. So using clean energy out of like the BC Hydro grid to create that.
So
energy.
How far down the rabbit hole did you go? Like, is that a more sustainable way to source energy? Or,
I mean, you're not burning fossil fuels.
So that's the
so
purpose,
I mean that's it there.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, honestly, like that project we did, the biomass facility. I mean, the way that the guy was talking about the demarc of the energy, and you can turn it into whatever you want. So you can turn it to heat, you can turn it to power. There's places up in the middle of nowhere, sawmills, where they actually burn their sawdust and their wood chips
to keep it going,
to turn back around and power that sawmill. So I mean, like, I don't know, I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah.
I didn't totally read the memo on the rabbit hole, and mine's not construction related.
Let's hear it though. Come on, you gotta throw it out.
The question I was asked over last week, and then I thought about it, and I haven't done the research, so if someone else wants to fact check me on it or not, but it's the chip bag. So you open a bag of chips, they go stale, yet there is air within the chip bag. So why do they not go stale until you open them? Right. So that was my rabbit hole.
So we're going to have to do some research and circle back.
Yeah. So do you have ideas you want to like throw out there into the world and then see if we're right or wrong, or just kind of just leave it at, I'll come back with an answer on that.
You have to come back with an answer, because I mean, like, maybe it's the recycling of the air. Like when the chip bag's open, it's getting so much oxygen going in and around that bag.
That starts the
staleness process. But maybe because it's sealed up with just that little bit of air in there at the time, maybe that.
So then I guess too, if you left the chip bag on a shelf for 4 years, would it go stale?
It should still be legit. Kind of like a Corona that's been in somebody's fridge for a couple of years.
Yeah, and it was fine, right?
I mean, it
was fine.
It tastes a little different, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, no, that's something you can definitely find in my fridge, is a random assortment of leftover beverages from parties or trips or whatever. And
definitely use the cans. I'm definitely gonna have a can next time. For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, we're gonna have to circle back on that chip thing next week, and I'd love to hear what you come up with, Jeff. That sounds fun.
So what do you think one of the biggest, we always talk about housing issues, talk about labor issues, like those are all very general, but like in our world, construction world, what would you think is one of the biggest challenges that, and that's a very general question, but it's just starting. So let's say from the site side, what would one of the biggest challenges do you feel is out there right now?
I mean, the labor one, hands down.
Yeah.
The labor one, hands down. I mean, I was, last Thursday, I was at a high school trades presentation, and, it's gaining traction.
Yeah,
for sure. It's not as bad as it was, let's say maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But yeah, it's the labor aspects. And I think the industry as a whole is doing itself a lot of, it's doing a lot of good work by putting in place ways to stick handle around that lack of labor. I think back in the day, it was like, get 50 guys and boost your production. And now you can't do that. So you have to be a little more, specific on how you tackle and the planning.
Totally. I mean, I found when I was coming out of, I'll say, high school, so that era, there wasn't a lot of focus getting into the trades. It was go to university, get a university degree, go get some high paying office job, stay away from the trades. I think some reps from BCIT came in and people are kind of laughing and mocking those. Go be a plumber, go be an electrician. And I see there's that big gap now of, the aging population, and a lot are getting to the retirement age of our skilled field guys, guys and girls, field personnel. And
it's funny because it honestly brings me back full circle to even why I wanted to do this podcast, was to be able to showcase, cool shit in construction.
Yeah, it's a great career. And it doesn't, you're not out digging ditches all day.
No,
you could be if you want.
Yeah, and like you walk past downtown and there's a guy, drilling holes in the pouring rain. But there's also a guy sitting up in the cab of the tower crane.
Yep.
There's a guy running the excavator. There's a guy inside hanging, a chandelier in the penthouse for the, there's just so much cool stuff. And for me, honestly, that's why I really wanted to do this podcast, was to bring awareness to that cool stuff and potentially stem a little bit, or, spark a little bit more interest. Because, the labor shortage is real, and it's, I don't think we're ever going to get to where we were before. But I think if we can strategically, work through the workflow of how we get things done and how we build buildings, in addition to continue to try and push hard to find people to come into the industry. It's for sure. It's a joint effort.
Well, that realization too for me, when like I always drive by job sites with kids and be like, "Hey, we built that building," and then it was when one of the carpenters I was working with also did that with his kids and was like, "I built the footings on that building," or you imagine, like, I hung the chandelier off this like 40-foot ladder in the middle of this big giant ballroom. But I mean, it is, I'd love to be able to get more excitement into the construction industry. Trades across, that there is a great career. You don't ever have to be in the field like me. I didn't like the field side of it, but you don't need to be in the field and have a great career.
And I think just, it's not even, I mean, I'm always just like a big industry advocate in general. But I think it's not even the people that sometimes want to even find a career in construction, but just opening random people's eyes to how cool construction is, because they will be talking to their nephew or their cousin or their brother's kid or so, you know what I mean? And just,
totally.
and saying, oh, like, you're graduating, what are you thinking about doing? Even though you weren't directly, affected, that other person saw something really cool and wanted to share that with somebody. So, just more transparency in the industry. But yeah, that labor shortage is an issue, but I think we're battling it fairly well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny, the chandelier story. So I was on a job site one time and there was an electrician, and he's like, oh, it was the Next Gen in Chilliwack, right? The highway there, with the cantilevered office piece.
Yep. Okay.
And they have like a DNA light fixture in the foyer, and you can see it from the highway. And the electrician was like talking about the last building he just come off of or something like that. And he was so pumped because him and like 4 guys hung this like 2-story chandelier in this foyer thing. So yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, I see that a lot. The
pride.
Yeah, the pride in those small little things that they did, right?
Yeah,
and I bet you every time that electrician drives by that building on the side of the highway, he points it out.
Every time I drive by it.
Yeah. And everyone in the truck is rolling their eyes because they heard that last time he drove by, right?
Yeah. No, it's cool.
Yeah, that was an interesting building. That, and I guess what they use that building for. Bring this back to construction now. So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, stories in construction. So I think this is one of the segments where we're just talking about what we're gonna have. Obviously construction dirt. I'd love it to be kind of like field, like maybe some random things that happened. Deep down in a construction.
So not dirt. Like we're uncovering all the dirt on.
We're not spreading the tea,
greasy topics.
No, but I mean, just things that go on and some funny stories.
So I know we just started this, but do we have like a feedback button, or can people like also say, "Hey,
why
don't you guys talk about this?" Or
for sure, yeah. So we're gonna be on the socials.
Oh,
yeah, we're gonna be on the socials.
Fancy. I thought we were just doing this and saving
we're
it
on the socials. Yeah, we're gonna be on the gram. We're gonna be on the gram, and people can drop in a comment or two, and if they wanna have a topic they want to talk about, or if I'm hoping that we can kind of like present a guest a little bit ahead of time.
Yep.
And then people can maybe like send us some DMs with some questions that they might want to hear that person talk about or things like that.
So construction story. So I heard a story just recently about concrete showers or something happened. Or
yeah, there's a concrete truck that got completely sprayed with concrete on the weekend, and
shotcrete or what? Like, it sounds kind of random.
It was I believe it was a high rise project, and they had a placing boom set up.
Yep.
So it's all steel hard pipe coming out of the building, then it goes straight up the tower, and the reducer valve that goes into the lock block piece where the hard pipe is, it appeared to malfunction and essentially blow up. And the concrete got all over this concrete truck. Cleanup would just be a disaster.
For sure. So, obviously, no injuries. Everyone was okay.
No, everybody was good. Yeah. No injuries. Everything was fine.
Just a mess.
Just an absolute mess. Yeah. So, yeah. One big thing, I don't know if you're aware, but in construction, crane operators and sunset or sunrise pictures. There's always just a massive.
That's the thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, somebody's got a tower crane swinging around and catching the sunrise, and it's always just a massive one on the Instagram. People make fun of it. Oh, here's another crane operator sunrise.
Right. So do they sleep up there, or they just get up there early?
They just get up there early. There was somebody, I think they were putting together a tower crane the other day, and drove past
crane, using a crane and all that.
Yeah. I think Canson was out there with the 270, and they were putting up a tower crane and drove past with the family.
If you went over the island, are they still doing that remediation work from the forest fire, the road to?
I don't think so.
No, so that's done. Where they had 4 or 5 cranes just sitting there holding
up the mesh nets. Yeah.
Stop ash from hitting the road or whatever it was.
There was a lot. There was like 6 or 7 cranes over
there.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's a tough time to have tilts going because all the cranes were on the side of the highway. It was a tough time.
Yeah, that was fun. Cool. So yeah, I don't have anything else that I wanted to.
No, I mean, this
Talk
maybe
about.
is a good start.
And I was thinking like a nice little short one, kind of
Yeah.
break into it, see how it goes.
Then listen to it and make sure we still want to do this. When we're...
I will be doing this regardless.
We got 2 listeners. It's Cam and Jeff
It's
just
Cam and
listening
Jeff.
to themselves
We got like
after.
4 Instagram followers.
Oh, already?
Yeah, like my daughter, your daughter.
I think I'm on there, and I think I'm on alias accounts. No.
Alias accounts. Here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking. I think we're gonna have a guest. Hopefully next time.
Nice.
So we'll see how that goes, and we'll let everybody know ahead of time who that's gonna be, and yeah, we can take it from there.
Awesome. So what, did we pick a theme song? Man, we should have probably thought about this
That
on the
was
weekend
The
when you were
Dirt.
drinking those 4-year-old Coronas.
Surprised I'm still alive.
Right? That was your tummy feel.
No, great. Like sign off. Like that's the dirt.
That's the
Right,
dirt.
That's
That's
the
the
dirt.
construction dirt
That's
for
the
this.
construction dirt for this week.
Yeah,
Catch you guys next week.
absolutely.
Cool.
Sign out.